What's up,
Oh,
Carla?
hi, Chris. How are you?
I'm good. Last I saw you, we were together in
Yeah.
Austin.
Yes. And now we will be very far apart. I'm just kidding.
Well, I
Well,
mean,
oh,
for a few reasons, right? We're entering the holidays where, the big picture, like other organizations, things tend to quiet down a little bit.
mhm.
But also, things are generally feeling a little bit further apart again with Omicron sort of like wreaking havoc in the Northeast
Yes.
and coming to coming to a state near you. But anyway, we're here to have a joyous conversation, right?
Yes.
Because this is our end of the year celebration. Shun, shun,
Woo!
shun, 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 shun.
I wish I
I
had
think give
my
folks a heads up on what we have planned for today. We invited members of the Big Picture staff to shoot some videos and tell us some of the things that they look back on fondly from 2021. We're going to share those today and just have a conversation about some of the things that they mentioned. Right, Carla? this,
Yes,
this
it's
is Andrew section.
no, yes,
um,
it's exciting. Yeah, I can't wait to see what people, say. Obviously, we experience our work and our lives differently, especially being a remote organization. Yeah, so I want to see if anything pops up that I may have been a part of or that I might not be aware of has, was exciting for folks.
yeah. All right. So let's kick things off. We're gonna share our first video.
Okay.
Here we go.
Hey, what's up, BPL family? Highlights for me this year included a convening in Cle Elum where we brought together 10 schools and did some magical and beautiful work. Another highlight of mine was working with Eva. What is your highlight?
Hi, my highlight is finally being able to join the BPL family and do my heart work without any shackles.
Yes!
Oh, so cute.
Yeah. So Carla and I did an episode with Taylor a few weeks
Mhm.
ago, but it is actually wonderful that we've been able to add some new team members to the team, including Taylor Harper,
Who's just commented.
right? And I've seen the videos already, Carla. One of the themes that comes up is folks looking back fondly on the opportunity to reconvene, to like get
Mhm,
back together. And whatever state of the world we're in right now,
mhm.
I do think it is worth sort of re-mentioning that just the joy that people have and had in getting back together with one another. Oh, hold
Um,
on. Hold on.
that's what I just said.
I thought you meant she commented like in the video. So Taylor, this is actually the first opportunity we've been able to add a chat to the screen. So appreciate
Yes.
that. That's kind of
Um,
fun.
so I wanted to build on that, Chris. You're
Yeah.
talking about reconvening, and I think it's also important to stress that you don't have to reconvene in person. And there's also so many elements of reconvening that I think, hopefully, going into the new year, folks are thinking about. For example, me, right? Like just reconvening with like my goals and purposes, and or even collaborating with like people around shared purposes and shared goals. How can we be support for one another? How can we hold people accountable and have them hold us accountable for doing the work that we said we're going to do, or for speaking up in the way that we were saying that we're going to speak up?
Yeah,
So when I think of, in times where we maybe can't get together, how do we do that still? Not in person though.
for sure. And folks will know, like, as we move into January, Big Picture as an org is going to be talking a lot about the importance of rest and recharging, and not getting super crunchy here, but what about like reconnecting with oneself, right, and your
Mm.
values and like how you walk through this life. So, all right, let's move on to the next video.
Happy holidays, everybody. As I reflect back on this year, the year 2021, one of my favorite highlights is when our LA Leaves to Learn community came together for an in-person convening. in November, and we had Big Picture staff and we had representatives from all our LA Leaves to Learn schools and communities present together, building relationships and leaving to learn with graffiti artists in Los Angeles.
I mean, there it is again, right? Just this sort of like feeling of getting back together and what that has meant to folks. I want to reverberate what you said. You know, even if you don't have a chance to reconvene in person, a lot of Andrew's work is about going outside. Like, can you reconnect to the world, graffiti, nature, things like that, just by, you know, emerging from whatever cocoon you might have found yourself in?
Or even like just getting to know the city or the place or hometown or just location you're at. I can't tell you much about Kearny, New Jersey, but I've been here for almost a year, right? And so what does this mean to me? Maybe I should get out there more and get to know the history or some fascinating facts. So yeah.
I think that's a valuable assignment for the new year.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
I know that like The Sopranos filmed, you know, part of their show in Kearny, which I think
Okay.
is really cool. So
I do
that
too.
I'll give you that.
All right, I'm gonna like spring on you in the new year when you least expect it. Tell me a fun fact about Kearny.
Okay. Okay.
All right, you can you can return it. I've got stuff to share about Fairfield. I already know, so I'm just gonna leave that out there.
Okay.
All right, let's go to our next video.
What up, Big Picture family? 2 projects to highlight from me this year. First one, LTI and Advisor card decks. They're beautiful, right out of Learning Big Picture. Second one, Emblaze mobile educator apps. Game changer. That's it. Happy 2022.
So I don't know what the Emblaze Educator mobile app is. Do you have an idea, Chris?
I do have an idea. So
Okay.
to date, Emblaze has been student facing, and there has been a function that allowed internship coordinators to interface. But Emblaze has worked on an interface of the app that is directly for advisors and educators to be better positioned to help students think through internship opportunities that might be aligned to their interests. So since Emblaze has been launched, I would say advisors have been the one to say, like, this is amazing. An improvement we'd like to say is that, like, give us a piece that's more intentionally focused on the work that we add to the process. And the Emblaze team has been working very closely on that.
Okay. Awesome.
But I also noticed that Wilson talked about how beautifully designed the advisor cards are.
Yes.
Do you know who the designer is?
That's wild to think about, though, because I designed them. So here are the advisory cards. I think our LTI, there are somewhere else, but our advisory cards, listen, you know what I love about this organization and just like its values, is that about being a lifelong learner. And because I've been through the school system, and that experience, that's important to me. And so when this idea of advisory cards came up, I was like, I'm interested in graphic design. Let me practice, right? Like, let me join this project, but also let me help design this. That's not my background, but so proud of these babies.
I mean, I love making sure you get credit, Carla, but there's a team that put together these cards, you know, creating the content, writing and rewriting it, the design side. So this was a labor of love amongst a number of people who put these together. So
definitely. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just say, if folks want to get their hands on these and also the internship cards, the BPL store can be accessed right on the homepage of our website, bigpicture.org.
Yes, and then just shout out to Wilson, Lowe, Eva, and I believe Casey and Brenna in supporting the project for these 2 iteration of cards. So shout out to y'all.
All right, let's move on. Oh, you're going to love this next one. I mean, we're going to love them all. This one is pretty special.
Hi. Well, personal highlight, of course, is grandson Ziad. But for Big Picture, it's the launching of Be Unbound. which gets our work out from under the thumb of schools, out into the world, and has the potential for much greater depth and breadth of reach. And in particular, it'll let us develop and assess what we really care about. Depth of interest, reveling in the doing, and being a member of a professional community. Bye-bye.
Charlie.
Leave it to Charlie Platt, who leads up our Harbor Freight Fellows work, to cede his time to another program that we've launched this year, which is Be Unbound. So Charlie, super selfless. He had a chance to really shout out Harbor Freight, which I will do. Harbor Freight Fellows is an amazing program, to talk about one of our newer programs, Be Unbound. So.
Yeah, sorry. It's so touching to see, for me at least, like I believe I know maybe one other or two other folks who are grandparents for the first time this year. So just seeing like little babies, little infants is so cute. And then just like that warmth of, I don't know what it's like to be a grandparent, but I'm pretty sure it must feel so nice. So anyway, that's all I wanted to comment on.
We talked about Taylor joining the BPL family earlier this year, and there are definitely multiple ways that we expand our BPL family, and like new children, new grandchildren is a part of that. I want to, since we're talking about design,
Yes.
I mean, because we've had children added to the BPL family in the last few years, I did design a onesie that is not for sale, but I'm kind of proud of it. This is the Big Pooper Learning onesie. So these are limited edition. I think there's probably 3 people in the world who have this. So
Wow.
I mean,
I love the black too. Like, my baby is going to be rocking black all the time.
I mean, the way you get this, I guess, is becoming part of the Big Picture family and then having children or grandchildren. Love sakes,
Get on it,
right. One of the folks that is in possession of one of these is the host of our next video. So here we go. Oops, well, that's her name. Give it away.
I gotta say, the Nicole Hannah-Jones interview with Carlos and then the panel with Eunice, Chris Emden, Nassim, and Sophia was a definite highlight this year. I gotta say, the Nicole.
I kind of forgot that was this year.
What part of the year was that? Was that March? It was March.
I think it was was it March? Yeah, it was early on.
March
and
6th,
I do remember Nicole Hannah-Jones, I think, was keeping some things a little bit close to the vest because I think the book and the TV series had not been announced yet. And of course, now the book is out. I have a copy of it. It's both well revered and obviously the topic of some controversy in our country. But yeah, Carlos's conversation with Nicole Hannah-Jones earlier this year was a definite high point for me and clearly for others as well.
Yes. And then centering youth, students, alum, voices of color. I mean, we can't go wrong there.
Well, one of the things I think people aren't aware of is like over the summer, Christopher Emden, who hosted along with Eunice the after discussion, had a chance to speak with Nassim and Sophia. And then Dr. Emden this summer did an in-house at Lincoln Center and invited Sophia and Nassim to be part of that conversation, I think as a result of this conversation that he was part of. So appreciate the sort of reverberations that some of these conversations have, especially for the youth and alumni that are part of our network. All right, we've got one more video to go.
Okay.
Here we go. Who better to close this out than The Godfather?
Hi, everybody. El here, thinking about an event that happened this year at our house for Ashe, a gathering of the Ashe folks, where Carla brought in local dancers, and we had great food and a great time, lots of dancing and lots of mingling with, muddling through around things that matter to us. So that was the event I'm thinking about. That was real special for this year. It was great to be face to face with everybody. Signing off now.
I mean, there it is again, just this notion that convenings have power. It feels like we might be limited on those again, but at least the times that we were able to do those during the year. I mean, whether you're you or me or Elliot Washer, just like the power of getting together with others that we love and admire. It definitely had an impact on folks.
Yes. And let me say that so I was on the planning team for the Ashe Fellowship. So this was our first in-person, and also our first in-person convening with the Ashe cohort, which is our inaugural cohort. And obviously when you're behind the scenes and you're just like planning, you're always just thinking like, it's not so much of the experience for yourself, but it's just like making sure everything's falling into pieces well, but also not everything's working well. But for me, I feel like I had extra pressure because it's like my hometown and I want to represent San Diego well. But seeing the dancers, they were young folklorico dancers. I believe the youngest was 12, and I think the oldest was probably like 17 years old, all women. Just seeing the performance and hearing and having the opportunity to speak with them about, why they dance. I was like, yes, this is it. Like, this is what I love. So I'm so glad Elle brought that up. And that's what's memorable to him. And thank you, Elle, for hosting.
Yeah. And if you ever are around San Diego with Big Picture folks, maybe at the Deeper Learning Conference or at ASU GSV, Elliot Washer pretty regularly says, come over to my house and let's convene. So props to Elliot. If you've been to his house before, it's a good time with great discussion. Carla, not to put you on the spot, but what about you? What's a highlight of yours from this year?
A highlight. Okay, I think it was seeing Leadership Journeys for the first time and supporting. I think the first time I saw them was in San Diego, or saw them. Just saw it play out and support San Diego at ASU GSV in August. And then I supported with the Leadership Journeys at the Amplify conference in, I forget when, November. Wow. And just being around folks just hearing stories from leaders in the field, where folks are vulnerable, where folks are like really letting you into kind of like why they do what they do, is really touching and inspiring. And that has also led me to reflect about my own leadership and also what my stance is. I feel like as we get older, our stances, not that they change, but I feel like I need to go back to like that activism, being a little bit more vocal about my activism, because I feel like I'm not going to say it's been muted, but just a little toned down. So one thing I'm doing is, and I'm actually happy they're right here. Well, first of all, I think this is part of, we're in the anti-racism committee, I think that I just got for BPL, where it says get in good trouble. So I love shirts that have messages, and that's what I'm starting to collect because I could rock them under my blazers now. And I'm like changing up my style. This one says educating is activism. Okay. And then this other one, and I'm waiting for like 3 or 4 more, is brown, proud, and educated. Like, yes, let's go. Anyway. And then I got a Bell Hooks one, and I got an Angela Davis one, and I think a Huey P. Newton one. Like, I'm ready.
Nice.
Okay, what about you, though?
I have a couple that I'd like to mention. One is that Big Bang was still virtual this year, but we were still able to do an in-person encore closing that was hosted by Fannie Lou Hamer, but attended by the outgoing Commissioner of Education here in New York City, Misha Porter. And also, I want to give a shout out to Anthony Anderson, a drummer from the Bronx, who rocked us out with a number of songs. So, we had toiled with this idea of how do you do how do you do a hybrid conference? And that kind of was our answer, which is that we're able to bring some folks together from the New York area to celebrate on Fannie Lou's rooftop. And a lot of people were able to sort of zoom in and live vicariously through that experience. So that was pretty great. The other highlight was also Big Bang related, which is that you and I at Big Bang were like, hey, let's just jump on Instagram Live in the morning and like see what we come up with. And that was the seed that germinated into Cup of Joy Cafe. So I really enjoyed, the last quarter of 2021 because we've been playing around with this platform, hosting some really cool conversations with folks. And I think we have some really exciting conversations to come in 2022 for, I guess we could call it like season 2 of Cup of Joy, right?
Yes.
So, it's been fun.
Thank you. Likewise.
Yeah. Well, Carla and I knew that this wouldn't be our typical 10 to 12 minute version because we really wanted to dive into some of the comments that our colleagues made. But, we also want to, keep it within that short time frame. So with that, I'm going to wish everyone a very happy remainder of 2021 and a fantastic as it can be 2022. Who knows what's to come? Make it a great year, whether you choose to.
Whether you choose to.
I don't know.
Well, we could just say, how many days are left? Today's the 10th. I think we have 11 days, right?
Okay.
Take this time, take care of yourselves, take care of your body, stay healthy, stay warm, reflect. Obviously, a lot of goal setting is happening. Think about your inner happiness. And we'll is this it? This is the last one for the year?
This is it. We're out.
Oh, wow. Okay. So yeah. And then we'll see you in the new year. Yeah.
All right.
Make it a
Happy
great
New Year, everyone.
year.
Happy holidays.
All right. Bye.